Good morning. Thank y'all for coming. Welcome to the Thurgood Marshall School of Law Library Crash Course. We do this every year to help prepare you for summer internships and research. My name is Tara Long. I am the appointed Law Library Director. I also do the faculty research. So I'm the faculty research librarian and instructor. I've been an instructor for LP and legal research. So we're thankful that you're here. We're recording this for our webpage. We will get started by introducing our librarians that are here. First and foremost, we have Nanette Collins. She's our reference librarian. Y'all could come to be on the camera.
Good morning, I'm Nanette Collins. I teach legal research and I'm the reference librarian in the library. I'm happy that y'all are here.
And then we have Patrina Epperson-Emanuel. She's our circulation librarian. Welcome.
Hi, hello, everyone. I just want to let you know in a couple of days, you'll receive an email thanking you for attending, and it'll also have a survey. So please follow that link and let us know how we did. And for those attending, you also will win an opportunity to have the first floor study room during finals in the reading period. So thank you for coming.
And Monique Bailey, she is our new learning resource librarian. She is a Thurgood grad from the class of 2020.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. Looking forward to being of help to you.
And lastly, but definitely not least, we have Mr. Karim Rand Aldridge, who is our technical services director.
Grand Rising, everyone. We're glad that you're here. We will hope more of you will come to join us today and get the best of what we have to offer. Thank you again for showing.
And so I'll turn it over to a TMSL grad who is currently working as our Westlaw representative, Aiden Luckett.
Greetings, everyone. How's everybody doing today? As Professor Long mentioned, my name is Aiden Luckett IV. I graduated way back in 2007. Thank you for having me today. I am your academic Westlaw account manager. So there are a few things I do want to kind of talk to you and point out to you that might be able to help you throughout your summer employment, whether it's at a clerkship, at a firm, an organization, or anything of that nature, okay? First things first, let me go ahead and get this up and running. I'm going to ask for those of you who are in attendance, if I can get it up, my presentation, to scan the QR code. Again, it lets me know who's here, but also for those of you who are in attendance and you scan this code, I might have a gift card that I can float y'all way. All right, so if you can go ahead and scan this and put your name, that'll be greatly appreciated. All right. Couple of things when it comes to your Westlaw account. First off, all of you have a Westlaw academic account. That account will be open and available to you all summer, so don't think it's going to shut down at the end of the semester or the school year. It will be open and available to you all summer. When it comes to your academic account, we do limit you when it comes to usage and printing. You probably haven't got even close to accessing those limits throughout the school year, but there are monthly limits that we do have available and on these accounts. Over the summer, again, the accounts will still be open and available to you, but we want you to utilize it for school-related things. For those of you just walked in, if you can scan the QR code, that would be greatly appreciated. Let me know that you're here. And then I'll show you the list of items that you can use your academic account for, okay? And I'll show this at the end as well. So things like summer coursework, research assistant assignments, law review, journal research, moot court research, nonprofit clinical work, and externships sponsored by the school, you can use your academic account without any issue. Even if you get close to your limits, you just let me know what you're utilizing it for. We can get those limits extended, okay, for the month. A lot of you might be working for other organizations, possibly a law firm, courts, things of that nature. Well, they'll have their own accounts with Westlaw. Okay, if that is the case, you want to ask your supervisor at those places to get you a temporary account ID or an ID for those organizations. And the reason being, for number one, if it's at a firm, for example, and they bill to clients, for them to track your work, it's better to work out of their account so they can easily bill the client for that work and research that you're doing. Secondly, it keeps a separation from your academic work and research from your schoolwork. All right. So just keep in mind, and like I mentioned before, there is monthly limitations that y'all aren't normally would not go anywhere close to. If you start working and firms or companies or organizations start taking advantage of your academic account, you might get close to those limitations. So just be mindful of that. Any questions when it comes to your Westlaw usage? Come on in, man. No worries, no worries. For those of you who just walked in, if you could scan this QR code for me, that would be greatly appreciated. Lets me know that you're here. And again, I might have some e-gift cards to float out after the presentation. That phone went up real quick once you heard e-gift card. All right, I appreciate y'all. For those of you who aren't familiar with the pricing of Westlaw, just to kind of give you a quick heads up, I'm not going to go into all the details of Westlaw pricing, but it is a subscription-based service. So most firms, organizations, courts, corporations will pay for a subscription for certain pieces of items, as you can see on this small little window, but it will cover certain things like quick check and a lot of the main features that you already have access to. They can pay for additional information and additional documentations like jurisdictions and different additional documents. But as you can see, based off of the size of the firm or the type of organization it is, there is a monthly cost associated with the subscription for Westlaw. Why is this important to you? If you work for a firm or a court that is that is separate from the school and you're using their account, there is a possibility that you can come across a document or information that is outside of their plan, okay? If you do come across something that is outside of their plan, you will see a little banner that looks like this. All right, everybody see that out of plan banner? So basically what happens is you will be doing your research, you'll conduct a search, you'll generate some results, and then you'll come across some documents that might be outside of the plan for that particular firm, court, or corporation or organization. If you do come across that, that's when you need to talk to your supervisor, okay? You want to talk to them before you start jumping outside of the plan. Now, you haven't seen these banners because you're all utilizing academic accounts. Academics don't have these banners on there. You won't see anything that you can't go outside of plan with. But if you're utilizing your organization's ID and account, you may come across these banners. If you do, talk to your supervisor, your supervising attorney, whoever's supervising, or your employer, to let them know that you're about to go outside the plan. They may want to stop you. All right, just be mindful of that. But again, we do have a banner. We do have a pop-up that says you're about to go outside the plan. Just be mindful of that. If they give you the green light, you can go ahead and go outside the plan and continue to do your research. All right. If they tell you to stop, you might have to find additional way to get your research done. Also, just a helpful hint. If you do some research outside of plan, save that document to the folder. Y'all remember when I came in way back in first semester and talked to y'all about foldering? If you save documents to a folder on your company ID, that will be in your folder for a year, and it will only incur one fee hit. So basically, you'll be downloading it once, it will incur the additional fees, you'll save it to your folder. If you go up to your folder to retrieve that document again, or to view that document again, it won't incur any additional fees. Does that make sense? All right, so again, if you do come across some research that is outside the plan, try to save it to a folder. It will only incur one charge as opposed to additional charges going forward. Any questions when it comes to working with Westlaw outside of the plan? Again, for the most part, most companies, most firms are well aware of what's going to be happening. So they'll probably give you a heads up of what you're going to see. But again, if you do see an outside out of plan banner, be mindful and you want to talk to a supervisor. Yes, ma'am. So if the out of plan pops up, it basically is going to be like this window right here. And if you continue to view the document, fees are going to be charged to that firm. It will automatically hit. So before you hit view document on out of plan, just make sure you let your supervisor know you're about to do this. All right. Any other questions? All right. So today I'm going to talk to you about a couple of items in Westlaw, or that Westlaw provides, that you may not be utilizing right now that might be beneficial for you over the summer, okay? One of them is going to be practical law. All right, all of you currently have access to practical law. If you read one of my emails throughout the semester when y'all were doing your summary judgment, you might have seen my recommendation to utilize practical law for that summary judgment. All right, but practical law is a research tool that is separate from Westlaw, but included with Westlaw, where it provides you the day-to-day tasks that might be that might confront an attorney and help them out with those day-to-day tasks. So things like drafting motions, drafting documents, things of that nature. It even contains templates for some of those documents that you can download and fill out or fill in the blank while you're working. And I'll show you an example of that going forward. But let's go ahead and jump into Westlaw. Now, if you've seen any of my presentations, whether it was online or in person, I always like to start with the law school portal to draw your attention to a few items. Again, we do have student resources that are constantly being updated. You may want to come here to check out certain things like surviving law school. We do have some assignment guides. I know we didn't have the summary judgment that was y'all major writing assignment for the second semester, but we do have other assignment guides that are available here. And we also have the event calendar. But what I really want to draw your attention to is on-demand learning. Again, on-demand learning is where we house lessons that will help you get certified within Westlaw. All right, so if we come to certifications or the on-demand learning homepage, it will contain a series of certifications where each certification has many lessons that will help you get certified within Westlaw. Why is this beneficial for some of you who are looking for summer work? If they utilize Westlaw, you can put on your resume that you're certified in Westlaw by taking the basic certification lessons or taking intermediate certification lessons, advanced, etc. As you can see, there's a series of lessons under each certification covering specific topics, each lesson getting progressively a little bit more detailed. And then obviously you can put these certifications on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile to show that you are certified within Westlaw. Okay, we do have many certifications that are listed here. We have things like basic certification, intermediate, advanced. We have legal research and writing certification, prepare to practice, transactional litigation, etc. Okay, yes, sir. You get here from the law school portal, yes. Under on-demand learning tab. Good question, thank you. Lost my train of thought. With these certifications, you can add them to your LinkedIn profile and extremely beneficial. Also, if you hear me mention anything, any key feature, anything like that, you can come under this certification page and search for that feature within Westlaw, and it will take you to a lesson that will go into more detail. So for example, if I want to learn more about Quick Check, first you have to spell it right. You can run a search and quickly go to the lessons where Quick Check has been listed. And there's even many quizzes, guides, etc. that will help you utilize these particular features. So again, if you hear a feature that is within Westlaw or you want to learn a little bit more about Westlaw, on-demand learning is one place to go to get through all those lessons. Any questions on that on-demand learning? Okay. And I know you're familiar with Twin, so we're not going to spend a lot of time there. Let's go ahead and jump into Precision. Oh, okay. That's not. Let's go to Practical Law. In order to access Practical Law, you normally go to your Westlaw Precision homepage and you click on this little down caret on the upper left-hand side. This is where you can access Practical Law, or if you want to go back to Precision, you can. All right. So again, if you're on the Precision homepage, you can click on this down arrow and go to Practical Law. Okay. As I mentioned, Practical Law is there to kind of cover the day-to-day tasks that attorneys will actually go through. So as you can see, we have several practice areas and several items that is available here under Practical Law. One of the things you could have searched is how to draft a summary judgment, a motion for summary judgment. Did I spell it right? I always like to throw an extra E in judgment. It's built in. All right. So as you can see, it's similar to your Westlaw search. If it runs through the searches, it brings up results. You do have your filters on the left-hand side, but then it brings you to content where it talks about summary judgment, how to draft the motion of summary judgment, and it will provide you with these instructions. I'm showing you this because you had this assignment second semester, right? Even if you want to be specific to Texas, you have the instructions here for Texas. Let me show you something else. that you may have not have noticed. If you would click on the knowledge map for Texas, all right, number 2, I'm clicking on knowledge map. It'll bring up a map that covers all the additional items that might go with drafting a summary judgment within Texas. So as I clicked on that information or that map, it now brings a map of information. I'm gonna bring it out a little bit, where it talks about all the additional items that can go with the motion of summary judgment, including this little section right here and the actual motion itself. So if I click on this motion, it'll bring up a fill in the blank template, a Word doc, where you can actually fill in the names of information, the court, and then start filling in your information for the motion of summary judgment. So you automatically have a template located right here on how to draft the motion of summary judgment. Everybody see that? And it can be downloaded in the Word document. You can fill in the blank and go from there. Now, a lot of firms, a lot of courts, a lot of other organizations might already have templates already set up. So you may not have to utilize this on every single motion or every single document that they ask you to draft. But this information is available to you under practical law. It is going to be available to you under your academic accounts as well as your summer accounts if you get a professional account or commercial account over the summer. So again, going forward, maybe next year and other writing assignments, you might have some additional information in utilizing practical law, okay? Any questions when it comes to practical law? There's a lot of information here. I strongly suggest you go in and take a look at it. We even have under practical law has its own AI that is available to you. All right, so you can ask a plain language question. Practical law AI will come in and try to answer those questions for you and provide information, okay? So that is available under practical law. Any questions with that? All right. Let's jump back into precision. So just going to remind you of a few items that I've discussed before. Hopefully you have been utilizing throughout your first year in precision. Number 1, remember folderings. Use folderings for all your classes, for all your legal research assignments, and things of that nature. You want to create folders for that. For your academic accounts, for academic purposes, these folders will remain in your academic account throughout your whole tenure within law school. So as long as you have your academic account, your folders will be there. Commercially, if you use a private account or a commercial account, the folders will remain for 1 year and the contents within that folder will remain for 1 year, okay? But that is free for both commercial and academic accounts. Remember your Get Started toolbar. This is customizable to up to 5 different topics that are here, all right? So you can change these now if you wanted to. So as you have now gone through your 1L year, congratulations on that, by the way. You now may want to adjust this. You may not need the Black's Law Dictionary on here anymore. You may not need statutes, or you may want to start adding specific practice areas to your Get Started toolbar. Remember, you can customize that over here by clicking on the cogwheel and changing one of those 5 options. Remember, you only have up to 5, okay? So keep that in mind as well. All right. Scrolling down, we have a lot of features that I want to kind of remind you of. Remember, Outline Builder, you can outline while you are conducting your research, save snippets, save paragraphs of certain documents. It will automatically save over to your outline. It will save over with the citation, whatever citation you select. It can be Blue Book, it can be ALWD, or it could be state-specific citations if you want to save it that way. Quick Check. If you haven't heard me talk about Quick Check before, this is a feature where you can upload a document, a draft of a document, or outline or anything of that nature, a brief, and you can upload it to Quick Check. What this will help you do is it will go through the citations and make sure your information is still valid. It will make sure that there's no new changes to the laws or the statutes that you have cited in your document or in your draft. It will also help you access a table of authorities where you can set up your own table of authorities within the system. So instead of you manually have to go through to do the table of authorities, you can do it utilizing Quick Check and accessing table of authorities. It will find all the citations for you, put them in the table of authorities, and then you can reformat it, change them, move them, do whatever you need to do from there. So it's all built in within Quick Check. You can even analyze your opponent's work as well, all right? Any questions when it comes to utilizing Quick Check? Again, this is free. For most subscriptions, it's definitely free for your academic accounts. You can utilize this whenever. Yes, sir. So if the law changes tomorrow, it's going to be updated within our case system. All right, so within Westlaw, the case is going to be updated, whether it's something has been found unconstitutional, something has been repealed, something of that nature has happened to a case or to a statute, it will upload to our system. When you do an upload of Quick Check or a document to Quick Check, it will go through that information and will provide you with a warning and this or recommendation saying, hey, there is now negative treatment on this particular case. There is now negative treatment on this statute or proposed legislation on this statute. You may want to look into that further. Yes, ma'am. It's daily. It's going to be updated on a regular basis, consistent daily basis. Now, does that mean everything's going to get hit immediately once the case has been dropped down? No, but it will take some time to go through our system, but it usually gets updated on a daily basis. Any other questions when it comes to Quick Check? As y'all mentioned, key site flags, key site numbers, those are all things you want to continue to utilize going forward. Another feature I want to draw to your attention that's something that you probably haven't utilized yet throughout law school that might be beneficial for you over the summer is our litigation analytics. All right, that is litigation analytics. So what this does is provide you with statistical information on attorneys, on law firms, on judges, on courts, and now on companies, okay? So for example, if you're going to work for a particular judge, you want to know more about this judge. You can search the judge's name. Wow, let's do this. And now you can pull up information about the judge. You can learn where they went to school, all that information, but now you can also see their experience and how they rule on particular cases, outcomes, etc. You can find that information here. So for example, I pulled up Judge Honorable Amos Mazant. You can review his outcomes by particular party or case type, etc. All right, so you can see what cases he normally handles and how he generally rules or the outcomes of those cases that come under him. All right, and as you look at that statistical data, you can go further into it. So if you want to look a little bit more into contracts, you can click on it and it will take you further into the contract cases. And then as I scroll down, you can actually see the cases, the settlements, the information, the court orders, and his information all will be listed down below. This might be beneficial. For example, if you work for a firm, they might say, we need to draft a certain motion that's going to go in front of this particular judge. You can now start looking at this information to see exactly how you want to strategize, okay? So you can look at the motion analytics and you can see the motion types, motions to dismiss that has come in front of this particular judge. You can drill down on it. And now you can see how he has ruled on those particular motions to dismiss, all right? And then it's color coordinated to let you know that whether he grants them in part, denies them as mute. And then if you want to go further into those particular cases or into those particular motions, you can scroll down a little further and get the actual details and look at his court orders and his writings, okay? All right, we can even look at his appeals. Cases that have been appealed to him or his judgments that have been appealed. You can look at both, all right? So again, his cases that have been appealed, you can look at those cases, see what type of cases they are, go further into the details of it, and see exactly what the stats are, all right? And you can go into the actual case details and find that information. Or appeals that have been made to this particular judge, you can review his information as well and see how he handles appeals that are presented to him. Again, by case type, you can go further into torts and negligence, and you can review the actual number of cases, look at the results, and then if you want to go into the case by case, you can go and look into that information as well. All right, so these are our judge analytics. We have analytics for firms. We have analytics for each individual attorneys as well. All right, so if you want to explore this, you want to learn more about a firm you're applying to, or firm or attorney that you're applying to, court that you're applying to, you may want to check out these analytics to see what they're doing, how often they're doing it, etc. Because a lot of times I know going into some of these interviews, these firms will ask, do you know what we do here? You can have some of that statistical data and weaponize it for yourself, okay? Any questions when it comes to litigation analytics? All right. Again, that's another tool and feature that, again, is something you normally don't utilize within law school. So I just kind of want to point it out to you. Yes, ma'am. How am I doing on time? I'm supposed to only have 30 minutes. 43? Okay. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, and it's not me, okay? There's a difference between y'all Westlaw accounts and what's showing on screen. Do y'all know what that difference is? Say it again. The AI. Your academic accounts do not have AI. Westlaw has not released AI to academic accounts yet. There was a lot of discussion between a lot of law schools saying certain ones did want it, certain ones didn't want it. We chose not to release it. However, it has been released commercially. So certain firms, certain organizations can pay for access to our AI, okay? It is available, so I'm just gonna kind of give you a quick glance at it. Just kind of show you that it is there. It is available. Clients can pay for it. You would treat it like you would normally a ChatGPT, but have an understanding that you want to keep it obviously associated with legal questions. Don't ask, hey, what are the MBA scores or anything like that. You want to focus in on legal questions and things of that nature. And you have to have an understanding that what makes this different than ChatGPT or any other AI is that it's going to be all contained within Westlaw. So y'all have heard the stories of attorneys utilizing ChatGPT to write certain documents. 8 minutes? Thank you. To write out certain documents, write out motions and things of that nature, and they just strictly went to ChatGPT, it drafted that information, and ChatGPT made up cases, made up information, and all that good stuff. All right, so you want to be mindful of that. Number one, you just went through your first year of law school. You should understand by now, if you put your name on a document, you are liable for that document and that information in that document. They didn't take that heed to that. They obviously just put their name on it and turned it in without double checking their work. That's number one, be mindful of all work, whether you're utilizing Westlaw or Lexis, who cares? If you put your name on it, make sure you're comfortable with what you're putting your name on. Westlaw is different though. The reason those hallucinations worked or came about when it comes to ChatGPT is because it's pulling all information throughout the World Wide Web. We all know information can be falsified on the internet. It can be falsified in Wikipedia, right? Anybody can go in there and write information. Westlaw is containing that search or that AI search within Westlaw. So it's all within Westlaw cases, statutes, regulations, things of that nature. So when you ask it a legal question, it's searching information within Westlaw. It's not going out to the World Wide Web to find that information. It's searching within Westlaw. So this will limit your hallucinations by well over 90-some%. So you should be good to go when it comes to that work. However, remember what I just said. If you put your name on something, you want to verify it, okay? Yes, ma'am. Mhm. Absolutely. I'm just gonna run a basic search and a basic question. All right. What are the defenses of contract formation? It's a very basic, broad search. So it's gonna take a little time to go through all the information and find the answer. But when it does come through, it's gonna come back with the answer to that question. All right. And it's gonna basically put it in plain language, which is easier to read and understand, but then it will also contain footnotes and authorities that you can go to and look into further. So if you want to look up the case information, look up the statute information that helps support the answer that it came back with, you can do that. And all that's going to be listed within your AI results, okay? It's going to take a little time. You can set it up for email response, and it will email you once it's ready. Yes, ma'am. Oh yeah, it's coming. Do I have a date of exact date when it's gonna be coming? Oh yeah, eventually it'll be unlocked for students, absolutely. It's just getting everybody on the same page and getting everybody with the understanding that that's what's gonna happen. But yes, it is coming. So as you can see, I did a search and now it has provided an answer going into detail of the defenses of contract formation. And then it provides footnotes that you can start looking into. If you scroll down, there's a section for cases, statutes, regulations that provides the authorities that backs up and supports those answers. The best way to start utilizing AI is to ask follow-up questions. So as you start out with a broad question, start asking additional follow-up questions, narrow it down to Texas, narrowing it down to this, narrowing it down to this particular contract. It will start filtering it down and providing you a more specific answer, okay? And that information will be saved. You will have a saved history if your firm or organization is utilizing AI, so you can go back and refer to this. It is bringing up results and it's answering questions, but it's not necessarily entering into documents. So again, if you do come across a result that has a document, it will say out of plan if you go something outside of plan, so you should be safe on that as well, okay? But AI is here, it is available commercially, so you might see it over the summer depending where you work. Any questions for me? Any questions about Westlaw, period? Your access, your summer access, anything of that nature? Again, for those of you who came in a little bit later, Westlaw will not be turned off once the school year is out. You will have access to it all over throughout the summer. Just be mindful. We do encourage you to utilize it for these items listed here, whether it's academic related or sponsored by the school. You want to be careful if a firm says, hey, we want you to use your academic account, and they start jumbling or handing you all types of research assignments. There are limitations, monthly limitations associated with your academic account. Y'all just never hit them. As a student, you might get to that level commercially doing some commercial work. So just be mindful of that. If they do have a Westlaw account within that organization or within that firm, ask them for an ID. It will be better that way, especially for billing purposes. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. For those of you who did walk in a little bit later, if you can scan the QR code, I would great appreciate it. Again, for my purposes, let my boss know that I didn't just take a free trip to Houston and get to go to Turkey Leg Hut, because you know I will do that. But also I'm going to float out some gift cards as well. So I do appreciate y'all. I'm based out of Dallas. I live in the colony, way up north. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's Dallas. That's Dallas. That is Dallas. That is Dallas. That's where I stay. But yeah, I stay up there, and then my territory is Texas schools, Oklahoma schools, and New Mexico. So I have 14 schools in my territory. So I'm constantly traveling around Texas. Huh? It's cool. It's my first year doing it, and it's fun. It's been fun so far. A lot of airports, a lot of Southwest miles. So I'm just building up, doing all that good stuff. I can't hear you. Huh? They're looking to get me out there next fall for orientation. We'll see if I can squeeze that in. Texas schools tend to keep me busy around orientation. That's why I won't tell them. So I might have to do theirs virtually, but eventually I'm probably gonna have to go out to New Mexico. I had to do a 4-day trip to Oklahoma and hit all 3 schools in Oklahoma. And so I try to tie them all together and get them all in one trip. All right. Any other questions? I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Transition for a second and get you up with Lexis, so you get to experience what you have to use and how to manipulate Lexis. And remember, this is not just for I'm learning to use it. If you're in a time crunch and you're working for somebody and they're giving you 30 minutes, using 1-800-Lexis, 1-800-Westlaw, using their phone numbers is not cheating. They have research assistants for a reason. When you're under a time crunch, it's who mentioned first or last loudest information is correct. And so you want to make sure you can show that you know how to take help. Reaching out for help is not something wrong.
And I just want to add on to that. She is absolutely correct. You will hear rules like 10-minute rules or even 5-minute rules. If you're stuck on something for 5 minutes, you need to start looking for help. whether it's a supervisor, a partner inside the firm, or like she mentioned, we have reference attorneys that are 24/7 and live chat. So you can either call the 800 number or you can use the live chat and start asking them questions. I utilize them this week. When somebody asked me about a particular document, I said, I have no idea. Reference attorneys, they chatted me, we started working through the problem, and I was able to help out a different person. So utilize your reference attorneys, utilize the information, the resource that you have. Thank you.
I think everybody knows me.
Just started on our class in regards to AI, but this is different. This is about what you need to work this summer. Good question. So the summary judgment was closed brief, or closed memo, closed document, or we gave you everything you're supposed to do within the file, just like it is a T. When it's something that's closed and defined as closed, it means you're only allowed to give it from the gate. And that's important to know because law firms might test you over the summer and say it's closed. Know what closed means. Know that that's when you're required to use what you can give it and that is over and above.
All right, so I'm excited to be here because this is going to be very fast paced. So if something comes up and you have a question, just it won't throw me off or anything like that. So what I really want to do is focus in on some of those, should I say, tools that you should know how to use so that when you get asked an assignment, when you're working somewhere this summer, you know exactly what tools to use. So the first thing I want to talk about is just a really quick difference between extractive AI and generative AI, and we're going to look at both. Extractive AI is sort of built into Lexis Plus. You probably didn't know that, but when you ask it a question like, what are the elements of burglary, right? And you get an answer on Lexis Plus, that's extractive AI. It's not generating new content. It's actually giving you an answer based on content that already exists, okay? So the other thing is generative AI, which we're going to talk about a little later on, which actually generates new content based on content it's been trained on. And I'll show you that. But the first thing I want to do is just sort of talk about like, how do you stay organized? Because you're going to get different assignments for different clients and you want to keep those separately and you want to be able to go back to a specific client and do research and pick up where you left off. So you probably hadn't noticed this, but do you guys see this little button at the top that says client none? When you click on it, you can stay organized based on a particular client. Now, I've added some that are just numbers, so you can randomly put numbers if it's a specific file number or something for that the law firm is using. But you can also add a client and you can give it a name. You can say Ramirez, like whoever the client's name is, and I'm just going to add some numbers. When you do that, you can add a little description to kind of remind you what this client or what you're working on. And when you click set, it's going to show you your client number here at the top. So just remember that if you're using this feature, when you turn it off and come back, just remember to switch over to whichever client you're looking for that particular research. Now, what's really important about this, or what's great about it, is that all the research I do for Ramirez at this point, is going to be remembering Ramirez's research, right? If I go to my history and I go to view all history, you can see the different research things that you've done for different clients. You're going to see them down here under client. So you can select that person and you can see what research you've done for that particular client. So it's a really good way of staying organized, okay? Staying organized with your research. I'm going to go back to the homepage and you can see that I still have Ramirez here at the top. Now, you notice that it switched from dark to light, and it does that if you go to history. If you like the dark, you can always switch here at the top, but just stay organized that way. Another thing you want to remember is that from the search bar, rather than running a broad search, if they ask you to run a search or to find information on in a specific source, you can type in the source name in the search bar on Lexis and pull up that source and just search that source. One source you should know about, a good treatise for civil litigation, it's not criminal, just civil, is Dorsanio Texas Litigation Guide. It's an exclusive treatise that's on Lexis. To pull it up and research that, and it covers everything from family to real estate to adoption even. You can type into this in the search bar the name of the source or Dorsanio. As I start typing it, you're going to see the sources options here. It's going to kind of recommend certain sources. You can select a particular guide. If you don't know what it contains, you can click on the eye and find out what that source is. But when you click on that particular source, it's going to take you to the table of contents. So at this point, you're just searching Dorsanio Text Litigation Guide, and you can run a search that way. You can either do it, actually there's three options. You can search all documents, search the table of contents, or you can just go over here and open up those plus signs until you get to where you want to go. So here's plaintiff's pleadings, original petition. They say, hey, I need to sue somebody. I want to do the plaintiff's original petition. When you select that, you can see everything from legal background, drafting guide forms, everything you need in one space. Okay. I can also search. When you see the blue hyperlink, obviously you can go in. But if you wanted to search, what I recommend, instead of searching all documents, that's like searching every single page. You can select table of contents. And if you're looking for the chapter, let's say on discovery or interrogatories, you can just type in the word discovery here, run a search, and it'll pull up all of the chapters that discuss that topic. Does that make sense? So learn how to use these table of contents. Is going to save you time. Remember that all documents means every page. So it's going to give you hundreds of results if that word is on every page. Does that make sense? So search the table of contents. If I wanted to make this a favorite, there may be some sources that you're going to be using a lot. I can always click on that star. It's going to make it a favorite. To unmake it a favorite, you can just click on it again and it goes away. Let me show you where your favorites are. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Lexis Plus. And if you're going to be using certain sources over and over again, when you go across the search bar, you see this little star right here. This is your view favorites. So open that up. That's going to show you anything you've saved. So you can easily go back to that source at any point. So I would start kind of getting organized, looking at favorites. You can always go back to history, but sometimes it's hard to like go back several days or whatever. So it's an easy way to kind of search and go back to the sources you use most often. Any questions on just that? The other thing I want to show you is that you can pull up any source in the search bar. Let's say they say, I need you to search the Texas rules on XYZ, whatever it is. You can just type in the name of the state and rules, or the name of the states and procedure. You can type those two words and you can say like Texas rules. Notice it's going to pull up the Texas local and state federal court rules. Do y'all see that? And I can open that up and it's going to give me a list of all the different rules, the rules of evidence, civil procedure, appellate procedure, all of those things. So if you get asked that, I need the rule on XYZ, you can put up Texas rules, right? That's how you can do it. So think of the word, the jurisdiction and whatever that source is they want you to find, you can pull it up on the source bar real easily, rather than running a search, trying to figure out what content area it's in. Any questions on that? All right, let me go back to the Lexis Plus homepage. And you can certainly pull up forms. So if you decided to pull up, like say, a motion for summary judgment, I would put whatever the name of that form is in quotation marks. You can select all content. There is a section for sample forms. This would be pulling forms from all different sources on Lexis Plus. So I'm going to click sample forms. This is going to pull up all kinds of templates, forms, etc., but it's running a pretty broad search. So it's going to give you every jurisdiction unless you select jurisdictions here. So I can select jurisdiction and say Texas. And now I'm pulling up Texas, motion for summary judgment, sample forms, and then apply. Now, this is going to be quite broad. So you're getting a lot of, and you're in sample forms. So open up the form types, okay? A checklist, an affidavit judgment, a motion for summary judgment. You can do that. And you can even look up the sources they're coming from. So some of them, these are coming from Dorsanio, that source that I showed you, okay? There are other ways you can find forms. Any questions on pulling up forms just on Lexis? I'm going to go back to Lexis Plus. The other source I want you to make you aware of, and I think it's an amazing tool, besides looking at forms, etc., on Lexis Plus, is all of these tools here on the left. They do different things. I want to show you practical guidance. This is our transactional tool that has practice notes, forms, checklists, drafting tools, and more. So they have automated templates that are like TurboTax. You can literally fill in the blank and it does the work for you. So let me show you practical guidance. We're leaving Lexis Plus now, just for a second, okay? We're gonna go to practical guidance. And this tool has some amazing stuff. First thing I wanna show you is just some of the really helpful resources that are on here. You can search for things in the search bar, and you can select a practice area if you wanna do that, and jurisdiction. But I like searching it by task, or practice area first and then task. So I wanna show you the civil litigation one first, okay? So I'm gonna click civil litigation, and we're gonna look at discovery, because we kind of talked about discovery in Dorsanio. So here's my task. I'm gonna be doing discoveries, maybe some interrogatories, etc. So I'm gonna select discovery, and then what you're gonna get, and this is important, is this. You're getting a very robust set of documents. The practice notes are kind of quick to get you up to speed to understand. So this is like, for example, 6 tips of successful depositions, right? These are all practice notes. Think of them like treatises, but really short, really to the point to get you up to speed. Templates, those are the forms, okay? Now, you've got a lot of forms because we didn't select Texas right up front. So the first thing you're going to do is come to the jurisdiction section and click more and select Texas, because you want to narrow it to those Texas templates. So there's 23. And as you can keep adding, right? You can keep narrowing it down. Like I would just want discovery or privileges, whatever it is that you're looking for, depositions. But I want you to notice something. There are some really great, if they say automated templates here, you're going to want to look at those because they have, you can just fill in the blank. So maybe you're looking at individual deposition notice. That's what they're asking you to draft. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And they're updated, maintained. They're written by lawyers in large law. And so these are like the best. This is what they're experts in. So I'm going to select, and by the way, you do have access to, unlike other research providers, you guys have Lexis access all summer, including AI, which I'm about to show you. So it's going to be a great drafting tool there. So I'm just going to show you one as an example. So this is the deposition notice for an individual. You're supposed to give them notice that they're being deposed. The automated template's right up here, but let me show you what it looks like, just the deposition itself. Every one of these 4 templates is going to have a summary. It tells you how to use this template. It even gives you the Texas law because we selected Texas. Everything that you need here to know how to use this form is going to be there. So open up the summary, take a look at that. You want to understand how to use the form. You know, timeline, procedure, all of that's going to be in the summary. There's going to be drafting notes throughout and clauses. As you're looking at the actual form here, sort of on the screen, drafting notes are like having an attorney explain to you different things about that form. So open it up and you can see a little explanation, kind of like having your attorney there walking you through it, okay? And then there's going to be drafting notes, bless you, and optional clauses. There may be a clause that's more on point that you may want to add. So these are going to be some optional clauses. You have 2 options. You can open the word in Word format. So if I wanted to open it up, I can click on it. It'll download here. And now I've got my form here in a Word doc. So I can quickly go through and just fill in the blank or whatever I need to do here if you wanted to open it up as a Word doc. But you also have the option of the automated template. This is like TurboTax. This is awesome. So I'm going to show you, build your document. You're going to have to name it something. The first time I'm just going to say depo notice. And whatever else you want to put, and then go to okay. And literally it walks you through step by step everything you need to do. So this is the form summary, tells you how to use the form. And then as you're ready to go next, you literally just fill in the blanks. The court, the plaintiff's full name, defendant, go next, and keep going. And as you're going through filling it all out, you can always save and exit at any point. But when you're ready to finish, it literally will build that form, including the names of the persons and all of that. So it's an amazing tool. Not all of the forms have automated templates, but if you find one, fantastic. Okay, fantastic work. You can always go back to your automated templates here under recent work. So go into a template, look under recent work, and you can see anything that you've currently built. You can always go back. And I've got quite a few things, attorney engagement letters, etc. Questions on the automated templates? All right. I'm going to go back and click the logo here at the top to go back to where I am here on my practical guidance. I do want to show you one other thing under civil litigation. So I'm going to click that. Under discovery, because the templates are great, but those practice notes are pretty amazing. If you see something that says something like a research map or something like that, and maybe I don't see it here, hang on. I don't see these. So here's some fundamentals. Let me select Texas. Because when you click on it, it's just going to give you like all the forms, and you definitely want to have the Texas. So remember, always search your jurisdiction first. Here we go. So we're looking at discovery. And if you see something like fundamentals, a map, these are amazing. If you're still trying to understand the procedure, you can click on discovery map for civil process, and it walks you through everything from beginning to end. This is the process. So you can kind of see visually what's happening, and you're actually down here in discovery. It's pretty amazing. Little maps to understand it. And then they have all of these other maps. So you can understand the process. So sometimes visually looking at how it works helps a lot, right? They're telling you to write discovery, but where are we in the litigation process, right? So always look at the practice notes. I'm going to go back. Again, when we selected discovery and then selected Texas, we land right on practice notes. That's the first thing to understand our topic. The other one you want to look at is the resource kit. These are amazing. It's like having everything in one spot. The map shows you visually. The resource kit walks you through from beginning to end. Everything from the practice notes to the templates to the maps to everything. So here's our deposition resource kit, everything from giving notice all the way to preparing for the deposition. Okay, at any point you can click on any of these and it'll jump down. Tells you how to use it, notice for depositions and the rules, but look at that. Practice notes, checklist. Here's our e-filing checklist. Checklists are great because if you need to know, cross your T's and dot your I's, the checklist will make sure that you got everything and you've done everything. This tool is going to make you look amazing when you go work somewhere. So whatever they give you as an assignment, go to the resource kit and start reading. Man, they're going to probably ask you, and I get this a lot. Students are like, man, they asked me, how did I come up with this contract? And I'm like, wow, you can really impress them because you got everything. It's like having your attorney kind of walk you through it. So don't skip those practice notes and checklists. Look at those before you jump into the template. You got to understand what the template's all about, right? So look at all these other things. But this tool, the resource kit is everything. This is the section on preparing for depositions. Everything from, conducting depositions on written questions on down to e-filing on to everything. I mean, just pretty amazing. So resource kits, great, great tool. I'm going to go back. Any questions on any of those two things? Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. So the map, let me show you on that resource, on that process map. The process map, you're in the litigation kind of, or the discovery section. But if you scroll down a little bit more, here's all the other maps, like right below. So you can always click into any of the other ones. That's a good question. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions on this? Yes.
I have a question. I'm glad that you were showing about the resource kits and things like that. I've found very useful many times because especially people like judges, practitioners that have been doing it a while, sometimes they forget, sometimes the processes have changed.
Absolutely.
Be able to undergird and oh, I noticed in the paperwork we needed to add this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, it's invaluable having all the information, and these are maintained, they're current. So if anything changes, they're going to add it. It's updated right away. So good question. Any other questions or anything else? Okay. So I'm going to go back to Lexis Plus, get on to practical guidance. It's right here. It's below the legal research on Lexis Plus, practical guidance there. I'm just going to comment on document analysis tool. This one, and I don't have a sample document for you, but remember that if you've written something and you want to find more arguments or supporting authority or expand your research, You can always upload your document. Doesn't have to be a completed or finalized document. You can always upload it. It will go through every citation. If there's cases that will help you, or on the opposite side, there are arguments against you, it's going to give you that research. So all you got to do is go in, look at your dashboard, go through. That's a whole nother training in itself. It's an amazing tool. You will find cases that don't exist in your writing in that dashboard that you can look at to find arguments that you can use. You had a question or no? Somebody said something. No, not yet. Not yet. Okay. All right. So let me briefly go back. Any questions on this? And by the way, if there's opposing counsel and they have submitted a brief and you're asked to find something to kind of answer, you can upload the opponent's brief on this tool and then find every counter argument against it, which is an amazing thing. So think about that. If you get asked to do that, don't try to go do research to try to find, load it up on here. It's going to give it to you like that. Okay. Let me just go back for a second real quick on this. So in other words, you can compare multiple briefs. You can analyze one brief or even an agreement. Just know that. All you got to do when you click start is it's going to ask you to browse and upload it. And then when you click go, that's it. It's searching it and it's analyzing, which is a pretty good tool. Yes. Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that because when you're using this tool here, this is extractive AI. It's not generative. So it's not making up new content that doesn't exist. The reason why this is this is something that you can rely on is because it's actually just pulling the cases from Lexis based on the content you provided. So if you provide a document, it's just looking for the opposite or the counter arguments or cases that are based on the legal terms that you've supplied and also the citations. So it's not generating new content on this tool. When we go to AI, it's going to be generating new content. And I do want to talk about the things you look for to make sure that, and how we prevent that from happening. How do we prevent it from hallucinating and creating new cases that don't exist? Or how do we prevent it from just giving you cases that don't even match up with the research? So we avoid that, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I'm glad you asked that because this is extractive AI, not generative. Any questions on this tool? Even if you just have one paragraph, pop it in there. Imagine uploading an assignment you were given. And it gets you going, doesn't it? It's incredible. So you get an assignment from a supervising attorney, pop it in there. Yeah, it's an amazing tool. People don't think about this, but this is like incredible, okay? If you go to your homepage anywhere, so if you're on legal research here, it's this one, document analysis. So, all right, any other questions on document analysis? See, she just used it and found, I'm telling you, it's a great way to begin. It's amazing. It's going to save you tons of times. Yeah. Think outside the box, people. This is AI, but extractive. So it's safe because it's just generating content. It's not creating new content. It's pulling, extracting from Lexis based on what you provide. Yes.
Interesting that sometimes I had to go back to the traditional method and I caught it because I knew the traditional method.
Correct.
But if I had been sloppy, let's say when I was in law school, I wouldn't have known the difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Yeah, and when we talk about AI, which I'm going to next.
Right. It's a tool, not a tool.
Correct. It is a tool and it can be great time saving. But if you just throw it in there, whatever it gives you, you're going to be in trouble. So let's use it responsibly. Any questions on the other tools before I jump into AI? All right. So we're going to go to AI now. So if you're here and if you've not used AI and haven't used it and using it for the first time, you may not see this icon here. You may have to just start it. So what you can do is click on this little product grid and you can select Lexis AI from here. And that will kind of set it on your homepage. So if you haven't seen it, there it is. Okay. So once you do that, it will be here. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into AI, the AI assistant, and let's talk about this. Okay. There are 3 things you can do with Lexis AI, and it does generate new content. Think about, well, let's talk about, let me pull up a PDF and then we'll kind of go through explaining what AI is all about on Lexis. Okay. So AI on Lexis uses multiple LLMs, large language models. These are tools that are trained to have conversation, right? You can ask a question and they converse back with you. It's like talking with an attorney back and forth. You have to know how to ask your questions. Okay, so this is called prompting or prompt engineering. There's a lot of classes now that they offer on that. If you were in my class on Thursday, this is kind of a little review, but there are some things you need to think about when you're asking or prompting a question, the query that you provide on Lexis AI. You need to think about points of law, so priming, persona, what's your point of view? Do you represent the plaintiff, defendant? Specify your goal or purpose. Do you want it to explain something? Do you want it to draft something? What is it you want it to do? And then indicate your output. Is it an email? Is it a letter? What an explanation? What is it you're asking it to do? And lastly, you're going to refine. So there's going to be follow-up prompts. You're going to be having a conversation and you're going to have follow-up prompts. So the example I'm going to use is you represent a defendant in a criminal case for burglary of habitation. The prosecutor's evidence is weak. The only piece of evidence they have is a fingerprint of the defendant's, which is located on the outside of the 2nd-story window of the residence. This window is where the burglar entered the house. What are you going to ask? There's a difference between a lay question and a legal question. And when you're using Lexis AI, think that you're talking to an attorney. Okay. A layman, you would say, well, are fingerprints evidence? And the first thing you have to ask yourself, if you ask, are fingerprints evidence of what? What is the context we're in? Oh, burglary habitation. So you need to start thinking in terms of what a supervising attorney might ask you. Find out if fingerprints are evidence of entry in a burglary habitation case. Okay, that's our client. So you need to think about that. So the first thing I want to do, if I don't know anything about burglary habitation, is I need to ask it a question about what are the elements of, because are fingerprints one of the elements, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, what are the elements of burglary habitation? And then the second prompt, I'm going to follow it up, are fingerprints evidence of unlawful entry? We're going to find out that unlawful entry is one of the elements to the residence, which meets one of the elements. How did I come up with the second prompt? When we got the results from the first question, we're going to see the elements. Then I got to think like a lawyer. Is fingerprints, now apply your facts. Are fingerprints evidence of entry? And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to ask for cases, because we represent the client that was arrested for burglary. We want to look for cases where fingerprints are insufficient to convict. So we find out, yeah, fingerprints can be used. Find the cases where you can't, so that we're going to try to get our client off. Yes, no worries. Yes. Yes. So these are examples of what I'm going to type. Now, it's going to take 30 seconds in between each, and I don't want to waste that time. So I'm giving you the prompts ahead of time so that when you see the question, when you see the results, we're going to go through it and you can see what it says. And I came up with the follow-up prompts based on what it gave me. So think about reading that initial one and then asking, oh, explain this. Oh, well, can you give me some cases that talk about that? That's what you do with the prompt. You don't just randomly come up with different. You just kind of follow, and it's going to remember the context. You remember we're in burglary, and it's going to remember that. All right, so let's do this. And then we're going to ask it to draft something. I'm going to give you some examples. So let's go to Lexis AI. So I'm going to go back here. Now, explaining it again, when you're on Lexis AI, these are conversations. This is your history. This is not on Lexis, right up here. Under your history. The reason for that is that privacy and security, a huge thing when it comes to AI. You know that LLMs, like current LLMs, yes, go ahead. It's internal in your silo in the user, okay? It's not storing it on Lexis somewhere. This is your conversation, your little work area, nobody can get in, nothing can come out. It is generative, it's generating new content, but it's not being trained on the content of the prompt you type in. All it's doing is you're asking it questions and it's pulling information from Lexis Plus. Whatever questions you ask, it's pulling only from Lexis, it's siloed within Lexis Plus, and it's also pulling from practical guidance, which is why I showed you. You know those templates and the roadmaps and all of those things? It's pulling from practical guidance as well. Two things. Generative AI, normal public AI, like ChatGPT, is searching the web. You ask it a question, searching the web. Whatever you type in, you're not training that AI to give that response the next time somebody asks that, because it's out there. Yes, on the public AI. So the public AI, you're putting it out on the internet, it's gone. You never take it back. Samsung made that huge mistake of putting for product, I think it was some stuff that was like, and it's gone. I mean, it's out there. Now people, when they type in, give me the, whatever, Samsung that they've got, that's bad. The difference with that and Lexis AI is that nothing's leaked. You are having these conversations here. You're asking it questions. It's pulling only from Lexis and the practical guidance. It's staying here. This is here for 90 days, unless you put your leak right away. So it is not going to get, it's private, secure, it's encrypted. So you pay a lot of money, guys, to let y'all use it. You use these providers to, everything you type in here is encrypted. It is not leaving your workspace. Does that make sense to you? Public AI can do that. It's out in the open. This is why this is more responsible way. It's freeze to print. Now, let me explain. I think people were misunderstanding. They thought that you could only ask 5 conversations. You can have an unlimited number of prompts. The follow-up prompts you ask, it used to be 5, now it's 10. So if I have one question, this is one conversation. Each of these is a conversation. I can ask 10 more. In each one.
10 questions per conversation.
Correct.
Okay.
It's not like you use it 5 times and you're done. Unlimited conversation, follow-up prompts, 10. You should try to bring it down. And remember that when you're asking follow-up prompts, keep it in that context. It's remembering whatever you last asked. It's kind of like, okay, kind of trying to answer you, that kind of thing. If you don't get the answer you want, start a new conversation and go. All right?
I was just gonna ask, so let's say I need to do 10 follow-up.
Yeah.
Right, if I start from that 10 to a new conversation, not remember.
You can always start over the main one and then start adding that follow-up. Trust me, you don't need that many. You don't need that many follow-up. I have found that I literally can do it in 2. It's pretty incredible, but it gives you 10 because there's lots of things you can add. So let's kind of explore that. So let's look at our elements of burglary. Remember those 3 questions I asked? Okay, so this is what I did. And this is just for saving time. What are the elements of burglary or habitation in Texas? Now, let me go back. I'm going to create a new conversation. Whenever you create a new conversation, you can ask a legal question, generate a draft, or summarize. When you click ask a legal question, these are some examples so that you know how to kind of generate that first prompt. Remember that that it's looking at case law rules, agency decisions, practical guidance, that tool, and treatises. So primary law. It's going to just generate content based on what's inside of Lexis. It doesn't go in the web. And then if you don't select your jurisdiction up front, so if you don't select Texas, you can just make sure you put the word Texas in your prompt, okay? And that's what I did. So let's look at what are the elements when you're asking a legal question. What are the elements? It talks about a person commits a burglary if, and it gives me the elements. It talks about, I think there's 3 elements. The term enter is defined as intrude part of the body or any physical object, and it goes on, right? And it gives you the cases. So you're not just going to do that and that you're done, right? You're going to dig into the cases. If it gave you a case or if it gave you the statute, which is Texas Penal Code 3002, dive in. This is where you have to be a responsible attorney, right? Find out what part, what section of 3002 we're talking about. So we can go into the burglary statute. It's now going to Lexis. It's pulling up the statute. Big difference between this and public AI. Public AI can make up something. And Lexis will not, because it's only pulling from Lexis and it has a hyperlink. So you can go right into the source. And here we are in the Texas Penal Code. We're going to use it like we normally do. We're gonna shepherdize, we're gonna find more cases, we're gonna find out what sections of the statute, we're gonna look at the notes of decisions and all of that. Okay, so that part of the research doesn't go away. Questions on that? I'm gonna click back just to get back here. Remember that there's more documents. These are the ones that are mentioned in your summary. View more. Why? Because it's also going to give you more cases, more statutes, treatises, etc. This is where you can expand your research. Checklist of elements of offenses, etc. Here's the whole section on burglary. All right, questions? Is it meant to replace Lexis Plus? No, it works together. It's going to give you a nice jump start, explaining what the elements are, gives you some cases you can begin with. Now you got to start asking it more questions. So the second question I asked was, are fingerprints evidence of unlawful entry to the residence, which meets one of the elements of the crime? And it talks about in Texas, one essential element is entering, and then it kind of gives you some information, and it talks about fingerprints as evidence. You see that? So now we've got some cases. We're going to find out, oh, fingerprints are, and it gives you the cases you can look at, refer to, and shepherdize them. It doesn't take your responsibility from looking at those cases and finding more and expanding your research. It's giving you the cases you can begin with and view more documents. And then I asked lastly, find cases in Texas where fingerprints were insufficient. I want to find those where it's my client's not going to get, convicted, to convict for burglary or habitation. And here are some cases, and I can use those. Y'all see that? I can ask more. These are suggested prompts. You can type them in. These are just ways, like sometimes you just have a hard time, like what can I do next? Summarize case law authority, ask the same question in a jurisdiction, draft a memo. Let's summarize the case authority. Do y'all see these cases? If you click summarize, rather than you having to go into each case, you can have it summarize it, and you can go to each case and just look at the little preview, the summary. Do y'all see that? So here is generating our response. It's looking at the last cases, and here's Young, and here is John, and you can kind of get an overview. So saving time is a huge thing. Y'all see that? And I have more follow-ups I can ask. I think I did 3, I got 7 more. So if I wanted clarification on something like explain entry in burglary or habitation, it's in that context of your conversation. So think about sitting with the lawyer and asking more follow-up questions. You really don't need 10. I'm trusting you. You're gonna see. If you prompt it the right way and ask the questions, it doesn't take too many. Yeah, let's find out. Distinguish Young v. State from John v. State. Let's find out. Hey, you can certainly ask and see what it's going to do. What? It's confused. I think it's doing something. Give it a minute. It's going to take a few seconds. There we go. It's generating a response. And I have one remaining. What are the differences? It even reworded it, right? What are the differences? And it's going to search and look. It's currently limited to 5 follow. Here we go. In Texas, the following suggestions might be helpful in assisting your task, and it kind of goes through and gives you some. So right now, there's still the limit of 5. It looks like we still have, but I just was on a call yesterday, and they were saying that it's like, that it was going to be 10. So there's sometimes, if you can kind of see, you can ask it anything. The legal question, and it's going to give you. Any questions on that? I'm just going to show you some other examples, and then I want to show you something really cool that I learned yesterday. If you want to draft something, click on, see? There we go. So click create a new conversation, go to generate a draft, and here's some examples. Draft an email, legal argument, memo, letter, email clause. If you're asking, if they ask you to write a memo, don't freak out and say, oh, I can't use that. Draft a legal argument, right? So start doing some searches and draft a legal argument, but you can use that as a memo, as a motion, or a reading, things like that. But it does do a legal memo, letter, email, clause, etc. And let me just show you some examples of those. So I asked it to draft an email explaining false imprisonment, and I gave it some information. Remember, try to put as much information so it knows what you're looking for. Point of view, the whole thing. And then it gave me a really nice, dear client, I'm writing to discuss these legal issues. And in Texas, and explained it really nice. Drafting is incredible. It's huge time saving. When you're ready to copy something, it even gives you the cases. So it's not hallucinating. Just click copy right here and paste it into your Word doc. Okay. And then you can tweak it and you can ask follow-up questions. Add a 30-day deadline. And then here's another little piece about a 30-day deadline. So soften the tone. Tone is great in drafting. If you want to make it more aggressive or more friendly, you can do that. Just ask. It's pretty incredible. Don't be scared to ask questions to see what it does. All right. And then of course, things like drafting a memo. And I gave it a lot of information here, which side I'm on, what they were accused of, all of that. And I wanted it to draft a memo. And here's my little memo, addresses, statement of facts. This is actually to a client. So it's kind of explaining it to the client, et cetera, and the analysis and the conclusion. You can summarize cases, you can generate with a new language, et cetera. So I asked, this is the great part. You can always address potential counter arguments. So if you draft something and you want to know, you don't just type it in, address potential counter arguments, or find the counter argument, and then boom, it gives you those. And then of course, last but not least, this other feature that I want to show you. Click create a new conversation. Unlimited conversations, remember that. And it looks like right now that's still limited to 5, but it's going to increase to 10 follow-ups. Summarize a case. Great if it's a new case or if you're in court and they threw a case at you. They mentioned a case. You can type in the citation and then ask it to give you a quick summary. It's going to show you one that's an unpublished case. As an example. I already have it generated, but I'm going to give it a chance to generate. I'm going to show you a really neat tool. It's going to show you what it does. But it's generating a response to my draft a case. It gives you nice, I love the formatting. Key legal holdings, material facts, controlling law, court rationale, procedure. Okay, so if you are still struggling with just recitation in class, throw it in there and see what it can come up with. But I want to show you one last thing. Any questions on this? You have AI with you on Lexis Plus all the time. Once you click this little AI assistant and you go back to legal research, your AI assistant's here on the right-hand side. Do y'all see that? So at any point when I'm doing research and I want to know more, I can always go to my conversations and I can create a new conversation and I can ask a legal question. So I can create a new conversation, ask a legal question, and then, oops, down here at the bottom, you can ask it. Let me show you a really neat trick for those cases. Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like when I try to do more than 5, right now, it's still counting the law school side. On the commercial side, it's 10. But I know it'll happen to law school too. So just keep it, remember 5 for now. Yeah, the generated draft. Let me show you a really neat thing. So your AI assistant's always there. It's available. If you don't see it, it's because you haven't clicked on AI assistant up here. But let me show you a cool trick. It's this one. I learned it yesterday. Pound exclamation. What happens when you type that into search on Lexis? Give me anything. That's what you're saying. Give me everything. So it's going to generate, boom. Of course, it's going to give me cases. But let me show you something cool. If there's a case that doesn't have, let me show you this. I'm going to go to newest to oldest. I'm going to go the most recent case that's been uploaded on Lexis. So sort it newest to oldest. This is not going to have a summary. It's brand new. It doesn't have a summary yet. Watch what happens when I click on it. Because AI is open, watch this. It's generating my summary for me. I love this feature. So it's generating. And next time when somebody asks me the summary, no, because you're so it's the people who don't look everything.
Well, yeah, no, I'm familiar with both data.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Actually, by you know, when the information they rely on, they're in court all the time. They don't have time you and you're able to provide it, now you're making yourself independent. So you're in.
There's gonna be a lot of cases that are brand new. I just came out and you're like, what is this, 100 pages? Boom, you open it up on AI and it's generating, and the next time it's there. It's got the teeny beholding. Yeah. Let it generate its thing. And right up here, under the product grid, right up here, I'll come back to this case in a minute. You're gonna wanna use context for judges. So if you go to context, you're gonna be interning for a judge and you wanna see their work product, and you wanna see what their writing style is like, and they're asking you to draft a motion or you can actually see what they've done in the past. So here you would enter the name and you can select whether it's an expert, judge, court, attorney, or company. So if you select judge, and I think I can't think of a name of a judge right now. Can you guys come up with a name? Weems? Christine, there we go. So you just type in Weems, here's Christine. All right, so it gives you everything about her judicial experience. This is that first page. But the part that's awesome is the analytics. Go to analytics, and here are all the motions she has granted, denied, and etc. Yeah.
Overstreet. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I can look at that, but essentially what you see here, it'll give you for a judge. These are all the motions she's granted, the cases. So if you want to see granting language or denying language, depending on which side you're on, they're asking you to draft. So denying, just select a motion for summary judgment denied. And these are all the cases that they've generally used. And you can go into those and read them and actually see their work product. Yes.
Is there a certification?
Yeah, that we have, let me show you. I'm glad you asked that. Back on the law school home, I'm gonna go back. Any questions on context? Y'all see this? Great tool. All right, so I'm gonna go back, and then I just want to show you where the certifications are and stuff. So if you are on, I'm just gonna click on this page here and go back to Lexis Plus. There's micro certifications, all kinds of certifications and things. If you click on your diamond icon on the research page, you're gonna see things like applied legal research certification, statutory law, secondary sources, admin law, AI, applied research certificate for AI. That will automatically go on your LinkedIn profile. So after you complete that, the points aren't huge, but the certification is great. So open it up. There's all kinds of certifications for different practice areas, etc. Any other questions? I hope you guys have learned a lot. Yes. Oh, public records, last thing. Right up here at the top, guys, you will be using public records for working somewhere. They're gonna ask for different things. So click on this, and I don't think I have it on mine, but they do. They restrict employees, so I don't have it. But if you click on it and go to public records, you have records for just about everything. Located business, wife, criminal marriage, property, all of that.
So the reason I asked you to bring this up, you guys, I was doing some research, and when I pulled it up in public records, I didn't know, but it even told me who that person filed taxes last year. So oh yeah, that's why I just wanted to. You got very careful when you use public records. And I hate to take off, but I want to make sure that y'all have time for your second session library staff and still get out and have. Thank you so much, Adriana.
Definitely. Yeah.